greetings and salutations. It has been a hot minute, as the kids say these days. Actually, I don't think anybody says that anymore. But it's been a while since I've uploaded a YouTube video. I think it's been 2 months, which typically is a death sentence for a YouTube channel. But hey, I'm still around and I'm gonna upload some more videos. In the time since my last video, I think I've gotten like 150 subscribers, which is a huge deal. And thank you so much for people who have watched the videos and subscribed. I really appreciate it. So there's been some changes going on in my life. Obviously we've had the holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. I've also moved, so I'm in a new place, my family, and so we've been settling in. I've been working on a lot of projects. This desk is a project, which I'll probably do a video about how I put this together. I got some guitars on the wall, which you can't see really well right now, but I may review the hangers I got. Just some various interesting things, some tidbits coming up your way. I'll also flash one thing for you that I'm excited about and probably will turn into a few videos. So let me do that right now. All right, here it comes. Are you ready? What is it, you say? Well, you'll have to stay tuned to find out. But this video is going to focus on some fretboard radius gauges. I talked about this in my last video. I said I was going to do a video on it, so I'm going to follow through. I got these from StewMac, for you hip guys out there. And they come in a set of 9. And I think this is the original bag. It's been a while since I got them, but not that that matters. But they do have, and I'll zoom in and show you a little bit better, but they do have a little hole in the top where you can put like a keychain around there to keep them all together. I obviously have not done that, but they come in 7 1/4, 9 1/2, 10, 12, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 20. So I don't know what kind of guitars have 15 through 20 inch fretboard radiuses, but that's pretty flat. So anyway, why did I get these? If you're a luthier or something, or you do a lot of work on guitars, I would say these are a great investment. Or if you're like me, if you have a couple of guitars, I don't have a ton, but I do have enough to where, I'm curious. Well, I'll tell you why I really bought these. If you watch my Jazzmaster videos, you'll know that I bought a neck from China. It was sort of, off the cuff. I didn't really know what I was getting, but it turned out to be a really nice neck. But I was curious about the fretboard radius because I didn't get a lot of information on the specs. So I got these first of all to confirm the neck radius of my Jazzmaster neck, but I also got them to sort of confirm other neck radiuses of my guitars. But also they're a good setup tool if you're setting up saddles on your electric guitars and things like that, or maybe if you do any filing of the nuts on your guitars, any kind of work like that, they come in handy. So anyway, there's not much to them. They're under the string radius gauges for your fretboard. And like I said, I'll zoom in and we'll just look at these guitars up on my wall and just kind of look at how you can use something like this. I will say, I think right now these are like $32 on StewMac. So StewMac has fairly reasonable prices on a lot of things, but where they get you is shipping. You can become, I think, some kind of member where you pay $40 a year and it's free shipping all year long. If you buy a lot of stuff, buy a lot of volume, that's a good deal. If you're like me and you don't buy a whole lot from them, it's probably not the greatest deal. But I think what they generally have is like a flat $9 shipping price, which, to me, it's like, I think they do a lot more business if they could offer free shipping. So generally what I'll do is I'll wait till I need to buy 3 or 4 things, and then I'll buy it from them and I'll pay the flat $9 shipping. So, with these, I also got a neck shim, which I've already done a video about, and I think I got like a $15 off coupon, so I kind of paid for the shipping. And so anyway, again, these are like $30. If you have a lot of guitars or if you're setting them up, it's probably a worthwhile investment. It's something that'll last forever. They're made of good fine steel, you're not gonna break on you. So anyway, so enough of that. There's not a whole lot to say. Let's zoom in and I'll show you just a few uses of them and close up of what they look like. Okay, so here are the gauges. As you can see, the radiuses are clearly indicated, stamped on the ends of the gauges themselves. And again, it goes through 7 1/4 through 20 inches. And so you know, like I said, if I probably should get like a little key ring and put them all on that so I can keep them all together and not have them lost or something like that. But let me just show you, for example, what you can do. I've got my Strat here, which if you've been subscribed to my channel, if you've seen some videos of mine, and you've seen an awful lot of videos on this guitar. So one simple thing you can do is when you're setting up your saddles, and so, you know, the cool thing about these is you can fit them underneath the strings, you know, fish them around here, put them, so like something like this. And then what you can do is take your Allen key when you're setting up your action, roughing it in, you know, you can set it up and make sure that it matches. Actually, what I would probably do is, you know, get a rough estimate of the action. I think Fender recommends like the 17th fret or something like that. And then maybe just verify that you're matching your fretboard radius. If you know what it is, you can match it on the saddles, you know. And I think StewMac has a video on this, and they are the experts, not me. But that's something you can do with it. The other thing, again, obviously, is just to verify your fretboard radius. So I know this guitar is a 9.5 wide because I ordered it custom, and that's what it is. So, you know, you come down here and get a little bit better angle. Not that you can see this great, but so, you know, you put this on the fretboard and it should match the radius. It should follow the curvature of your gauge, which it does. So another cool thing about this, you know, obviously you can do this with the strings on, and it's easy to do at these higher frets, but what you can do is just slide it like so up the fretboard. Say if you have a compound radius neck, you know, up here at the headstock, it may be, you know, 7 1/4, and it may go to 9.5 at the end of the fretboard, at the end of the neck. But so you can check to see, you know, go up the neck like so and check each individual fretted area if you want. And then finally you can check up here at the nut to make sure, let me get a better angle here. You can check up here at the nut to make sure that, you know, if you're shaping the nut or something like that, you can use this kind of as a rough guide, or just to check to see that the nut's been shaped properly. So it's probably obvious to say this, but I'll say it anyway. This is a 7 1/4 inch radius gauge, and I have, again, a 9.5 neck here. So what would happen is 7 1/4 is more rounded, so what you'll see, you can't really see it on the camera, but there's a gap at the center of the radius gauge. So that's telling me that my neck is actually a little bit flatter than this, which makes sense. So conversely, I've got the most flat gauge here, and you can see that it rocks back and forth. Let me do it like this. It rocks back and forth a lot. So that's showing me that my neck is more rounded, a lot more rounded than this 20 inch radius gauge. So now this is the guitar, or the neck rather, that I was really curious about, and pretty much the main reason I bought these gauges. So it felt pretty flat to me when I was playing it, setting it up and everything, but I just wasn't sure. So this is a 10 inch radius gauge, and you can't really see it again, but there is some light that is shining through there at the highest point of the gauge. So that's telling me I've got a flatter radius than a 10. Same thing with the 12, there's a little light shining through, there's a little gap under there. So oddly enough, the neck on this Jazzmaster is a 14 inch radius, which is pretty flat. For example, Les Pauls are typically 12 inches on the radius. Modern Fenders are like 9.5. So this is pretty flat. It doesn't feel uncomfortable to play. It's just a little different. You know, I don't have any issues with it. But again, it's just sort of an odd radius. So one downside for me, and this is sort of off topic, but the Stay Trim bridge, which they actually don't even sell in the US, they don't ship to the US anymore. You know, I did a review on a lot of Jazzmaster bridges, and the Stay Trim is the one that I would probably go for, but this neck again is a 14 inch radius, and they don't make a 14 inch radius bridge. They make, I think, 7 1/4 and 9.5, maybe 10 or 12, but definitely not 14. Maybe something else would work, but I want to stay true to the radius at the saddles on the bridge. So, and just for kicks, here's my Les Paul, and this is a 12 inch radius gauge, which matches up pretty much with the neck on this guitar. So I will say that necks are going to vary slightly, you know, as they move up and down the neck. And it's a little hard, you know, there's not a lot of difference between, say, a 10 and a 12 or a 12 and a 14. So I may try to zoom in on a good example on maybe the end of the fretboard where you can see just the slight differences. So, you know, you're not going to have a perfectly, well, at least with my guitars, they're not perfectly matching the neck radius. You kind of just have to like dial it in and find the one that best fits the neck that you're working with. So here's a little bit closer up view. Hopefully you can see what I'm talking about. This is my Jazzmaster again, and this is the 14-inch radius gauge. Now this is the flattest one. It follows the curvature of the neck, at least down here on the end of the fretboard, the closest, right? So it's not, if I hold it down and it's at a 90-degree angle to the fretboard, it pretty much hugs the neck or the fretboard all the way around or all the way across. Here's the 12-inch radius, and it pretty much follows the curvature of the board as well. And there's only a slight gap in there. So again, I don't really think this is rocket science. If you're a luthier or something like that, then you know how to use these tools better than someone like me does. But roughing it in, this gives you a good idea. So I would say overall, these things are a good investment if you're going to be, you know, setting up a lot of guitars or setting up the guitars you have quite a bit. You know, if you do that frequently, I will say that these beat the heck out of those gauges that maybe you can print offline. They look like some weird shaped square. You know, you've seen what I'm talking about. But I try to do that, print it offline, and they're flimsy unless you can laminate them or something like that. And by the time you go to all that trouble, you might as well just get yourself some radius gauges. So yeah, I would say these are a good investment if you have a lot of guitars. If you don't, then I probably wouldn't sweat it. So that is my review. Thanks for watching.